All right, so it's now recording. All right. So we're going to do this as if we were live. Everybody, good afternoon and welcome once again to the Drug and Alcohol Tony's Facebook Live show. I apologize. This is going to be a little bit delayed when it gets to you, but I'm very excited to have with me Amanda Marino, who I would definitely consider a very good friend, and her husband, Frank, two amazing people. And one of the amazing people I've had the privilege to meet and become friends with in the treatment industry. So, Amanda, I'm so excited you joined us. Thank you very much for agreeing to come
Thank
on
you
the
so
show.
much for having me. Thank you.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
And I just want to really know that we did not plan to coordinate the color of our shirt, although I think you look better in yours than I do mine, as much as I didn't feel like wearing a stuffy collar shirt today, so I picked out the first thing that was on top of the pile. That's kind of how us guys do stuff. If it's on the top, it's wherever we want. If it's on the bottom, at some point we'll get to it. So this shirt comes out about every 2 weeks. That's the rotation I got going on. So I want to share with people a little bit about your story. I know that you work for Recovery Ways, which is an amazing treatment center out in Utah, and you're also the CEO and founder. I think that's the right title, right? President and founder
Yes.
of
Yes.
Women Empowering Women, which is an organization that you started off. You lost a close friend, and I guess in a nutshell, what you do is you raise money and use the funds to help send, I guess, a woman in recovery to college. Is that what I've said about right?
That's correct. Yes. And we just became 501c3 thanks to your help and
Mhm.
connections in March. So we're official 501c3.
I love it. I love it. All right, so let's sort of backtrack a little bit because I think I really want to share your story with the folks because it's a really amazing story. And as I sort of said tongue in cheek this morning when we just chatted before we went live, it's hard to imagine you any other way because I've sort of known you a couple of years now, and so I know you as this really amazing woman. And so when folks hear your story, it's hard for me to envision you any other way. So I think it's important to share the story. So tell us where you grew up.
I'm a native. I'm born and raised Floridian. I
Okay.
was born in Fort Lauderdale, Broward County area and raised in Palm Beach County, Delray, Boynton Beach.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about your family. Were both parents present? Do you have siblings? Let's talk about that.
Yes, I have. I was raised by my mother and my godmother and my aunt and my grandparents. And I have one sister named Brittany, and she's 6 years younger than me. And we had, a lot of love for sure. And my mother has always been by my side and been my number one cheerleader for sure, through the good times and the bad.
Okay. Was your dad in the picture?
No, I didn't meet my father until I was 8 years old. My mother remarried when I was young to my sister's father, and I thought that he was my dad until I was about 8 years old. And he ended up being a very horrific person to us. He was a bad abuser, sexual abuse, physical abuse, and he also abducted my younger sister and brought her to Canada when I was 6 years old.
This is your stepdad.
This was my sister's father. Yeah, he was my stepdad at the time, and I thought that he was my father. I hadn't met my father yet.
Okay. So where's your biological father?
He was living in New York. He passed away when I was pregnant with my daughter about 6 years ago, and so we had a number of good years close. We were really close. He also had some recovery. He had his stint in recovery and his issues. So we when I got into recovery, we had so much in common. And he was really an amazing man.
Okay. So you have one sister. She's a stepsister, and I've seen
Half
photos of her.
sister.
Half sister.
Half sister. We have the same mom. Yeah.
She definitely
She's my
looks.
full sister, though.
I gotta say, I've seen her picture. I've seen some pictures you shared on Facebook, and she definitely looks like you.
She's
So
my sister, my
she's
girl.
definitely your sister. No doubt about that. So I think you alluded a little bit to the fact that what was going on with your stepdad. So let's talk a little bit about that. Tell us what life was like with your stepdad.
Well, we talked briefly earlier, you and I, but it was one of those things where he was one of those people that in the public eye, he was a church-going man, seemed like he was a kind family man, and behind closed doors, he was abusive and, did horrible things to his family and was involved with drugs and just a lot of really bad things.
Okay, and I know I'm putting you on the spot here, and if I ask you any
It's
questions
okay.
I don't know who's more uncomfortable, me or you.
No, I know. Once the term sexual abuse comes out in a conversation, it usually makes people very uncomfortable. And I can promise you one thing, that I've done so much work on it that when I talk about it every time now, that it frees me a little bit more, and it helps me to put my voice out there and hope that I can help somebody else know that it's okay, it's not their fault, and that it's okay to talk about when you're ready, you
Okay.
know?
And I don't really want specifics, but and I don't think anybody else needs to know the specifics, but give us a time frame of when it started and how long it went on for.
From about ages 4 to 7, for
Okay.
about 3 years, and progressive, so
Did
it
anyone in
was.
your family know it was going on? Did your mom know?
No, my mom, the second my mom found out, she, ripped us out of there. But she was also a battered woman, so she was scared for her life all the time. And, she definitely did the best she could. But when she found out that was going on, we were out of there and we were on the run.
Wow. So you say on the run, tell me what that means.
Well, my mother, we moved up to Massachusetts to try to get away from him. And my mother went into kind of a hiding with us kids. We escaped in the middle of the night, that whole, like a scene from a movie, and went up to Massachusetts, and she tried to rekindle things with my dad. So that's when I met my father. And I was very confused because I thought that this man was my father. And then I find out this other man is my father. And I was happy to know in one hand that the abuser wasn't my father, but on the other hand, I was also like, why weren't you there to protect me, to my dad? Where were you? So I was extremely confused.
Okay. So how old were you when you went to Massachusetts?
About 7, we stayed there for approximately a year. And
Okay.
the abuser hired people to watch us and follow us.
Okay. So at some point, did you leave Massachusetts?
Yeah, we were up there for about a year. We came back, and I'm there's a little blur. I don't remember exactly when it was, but my sister was abducted in front of me. Her father hired someone on lawn maintenance day, so I had to do a lot of work around lawn maintenance day, a lot of trauma work, EMDR, and different things. He hired somebody to dress up, with the lawn maintenance things and with the equipment, and he was with all the crew. They were doing the neighborhood work, and he just dropped his cup and grabbed my sister, and ran towards the road. And a car came around, and I flagged it down. I was 7, 8 years old, flagged it down to help me, and it ended up being her father as the driver. So he was the getaway driver. And my
Okay.
grandparents tried to stand in front of the car, and they tried to run him over. There's, people followed them to 95 and state troopers, and they ended up taking her to Canada for a whole month.
Oh my God. So how'd she end up getting free?
Well, because we knew who took her, we, got his family involved up in Canada, and they helped bring her back.
Wow. So
Yeah, she was
so
brought back on the news. It was a whole thing. Very traumatizing to experience when you're a kid. I think of my children. I have a 5-year-old little girl and a 12-year-old little boy, and I just can't imagine if they would have gone through what I went through at that age.
all right. So I've seen photos of your sister, and she seems happy. How's she doing? I mean, I know you went through your own battles, and we'll talk about that. But how'd that affect her?
She's good. Thankfully for her, she was really young. She was a baby. She doesn't really remember it, and she's just always been very supportive of my mom and I. With what we had to go through and remember. So.
Okay. So let's fast forward just a little bit because I know at some point um, it was you got involved with substance abuse, and I know that you work in the industry now, and you're very sort of somebody I would consider inspirational. I know a lot of other people would agree with me too. But tell me how you got into the whole substance abuse issue, how that came about.
Well, I mean, those of us that are in recovery, when we tell our stories, some people come from, it's something that happened in their childhood trauma. Some people have the perfect childhood and still end up in that same scenario. So for me, I can take a look at it and say, well, I had a lot of things go on when I was young, but whatever it was, I ended up an addict. Um, and all of our stories are different, but we end up in the same place, have the same feelings. I was probably 9 or 10 years old when I started my very first addiction, which was shoplifting. It was taking little things from stores, and I could get away with it, and it was a rush. It was a silly thing, but it made me get out of myself. And I think that I had so many feelings that I was trying to numb, things I blamed myself for, things I didn't understand, the not trusting of adults. And so by the time I was 9, I had first smoked pot at a birthday party. Can you imagine that? That's so scary.
That's young.
As a mom of a 5-year-old and a 12-year-old, I just can't even imagine. And then by 14 in high school, I was full blown addict. I was taking ecstasy, acid, mushrooms, you know, Special K, Rufinols, Xanax.
Tell me what Special K is. I've heard of most of those other things, but not Special K. What's that?
I don't know if it's a thing anymore, but it was a thing that it was a liquid that you would cook and it turned into powder, and it was a cat tranquilizer. So it really messed you up and you'd snort it.
Wow. So were you in school at this time?
I was in high school, and that's when I found nobody sought me out. I found the drug dealers and the worst the worst people you could find to hang out with. They became my boys, the 20-year-old high school student, that was selling drugs. That's who I became best friends with and became little sisters too. And, and I loved it. I loved every second of it. I loved the attention. I loved getting out of myself. I loved anything that you'd give me that made me feel cool, that made me feel part of. I was beat up by girls in the beginning of high school. So I picked on. So it made me feel good to numb everything.
Okay, so this is all going back down here in Florida, right?
Pardon?
This is all but while you're back down in Florida, is that right?
Yeah. I was only in Massachusetts for a year.
Okay, and so how many years is this going on for?
What, my addiction?
Yeah, the behavior, because it sounds like it was progressing, which is kind of the norm, but
Yeah, I mean, I was introduced to my first facility when I was 14. I was Baker acted to a mental health teen program. 15, I was put in this place called Growing Together, which is today condemned, and I don't have best memories of that place. It was like a therapeutic community program, which I personally don't believe in it and wasn't for me. I went to a psychiatrist appointment and they locked the door behind me and told me I was going to be there for 3 years. And at 15 years old, that wasn't.
that had to be
Wasn't
traumatic and frightening. So,
Yeah, I escaped twice from there, and then my mom let me stay home after the second time.
so who initiated the Baker Act?
My mother.
Okay, why was that?
My behavior. I was out of control. Very bad behavior. I don't think I directly threatened to hurt myself, but my behaviors were what led to that. I remember when she did have the cops come to Baker Act me. One was standing at the bottom of my second floor window, and one was coming upstairs because she knew that I would jump out the window. And sure enough, I tried to, but he was right there.
Okay, so is it just you and your mom and your sister at home at that point?
Yes. Yeah. And then
Okay,
I had a godmother and an aunt who were my mom's sister and my godmother who were a couple, and they were, they raised me along with my mother, and they were my rocks as well with my mom.
okay. So at what point did you get clean? When did that happen?
Well, I had a few more brief treatment stints. Every few years I would clean up for my mother and whoever wanted me to clean up, and then I would go back. I was somebody that I see there's different versions of people. Some people pick up a substance and they're right back to where they started that day. For me, my disease is tricky. I'll be okay for a little while, and then it just goes to crap. So I was, I've been like I said, introduced to recovery and the 12 steps since I was 14 years old, and finally got clean at 26.
Wow. Okay, so that's a long journey. So how many different facilities do you think you were in?
Six. Six. Well, then I was in a few juvenile detention center. Um, Not thankfully no legal trouble as an adult, but definitely some as an adolescent.
Okay, so how many times do you think you got arrested?
Um, I believe twice, maybe 3 times.
Okay,
I think.
all
Yeah,
right.
once as a juvenile and once as an adult, but it was driving unsuspended. It wasn't anything crazy.
Okay, all right. Minor stuff. Okay. So so let's talk. I know you said you have two children, right? And you have, I think, you have one with Frank, your daughter. Is that right?
Yep, Scarlett, my
Okay.
5-year-old,
Okay.
and then I have
Um,
my son Merrick, who I had before I got into recovery.
okay. So
So
are we okay talking about that? Because
yeah, Yeah,
Okay.
it definitely needs to get out there too, because mothers need to know that, they don't have to harbor that guilt,
Okay.
because it is painful.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about that because I know that you told me that you got pregnant and that was a bit of an issue for you.
Yeah, I got pregnant, in the grips of my partying and my addiction, and which I thought was only partying. I thought it was normal. I had such a thick denial. But when I got pregnant, at first I was excited, and then the disease part of me and my mind told me, that, so I started to get angry because while I was pregnant, I didn't go on a tear and rip. I drank a glass of wine here and there. I took a Xanax here and there, but I didn't full out, go use. And so when I had my son, I was like counting it down. I knew I wasn't going to breastfeed him because that meant that I would have to, abstain longer. And when I had him, it was a whole nother world. I was also prescribed pain pills when I had him, and I had never had a hit of all the other things I did. I never had a history with pain medicine. I was able to start and stop whatever substance I was using, but with pain pills, it really brought me to my knees. And they prescribed me them with just a natural birth. And I had him, and I was angry that I had to take care of somebody, and it took away from me doing what I wanted to do, which was very, very hard to admit when I first got into recovery. I would cry anytime I would talk about it because my kids are my world, but addiction will rob us of that love and that attachment and that connection to our children.
Right. And I've seen photographs, that you post online with you and your kids and your husband, and uh, you just look like just a wonderful mom, to be honest with you.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I
you.
know
It took a lot of healing because, my son is my buddy, my best friend. And to think that I was resentful that I had him at first, that's a painful, painful thing as a mom, as a woman. And then the guilt we carry. Like I didn't take the best care of him, when I first had him, and I wasn't the best mom.
well, so for all this sort of these years of addiction, how were you able to support yourself? Because I know some
Well,
people can't function when
I,
they're addicted, and some really can't function at all.
yeah, well, I mean, I always had somehow I managed, but I was a very, very thrifty girl. I'd always find someone to kind of mooch off of. But my family, supported me until they didn't. And then my son's father, I did marry, and we're fantastic friends today. But he watched me, go down pretty fast. And so when I did go to treatment, we ended up splitting up like right then. So I started from scratch 11 years ago on my own.
Okay, so 26, you're done, you're clean,
Mhm.
right? So how where does life progress from there? Because obviously at some point you start to work in the industry. So how do we get from 26 where you're finally clean to working in the industry? How'd that happen?
So so I didn't know how to do anything when I got out. I went to treatment for 90 days. I did not know how to do anything by myself. I had a house, and my husband at the time moved out, and I had this house and this child, and I didn't know what the hell was going on because I really had been in a fog for 10 years. So I feel like, something that is missed. Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
did we lose
I
you?
lost,
There you go. You're
I'm
back.
sorry. I feel
We're
like
not
something
getting those
that,
again.
something with a lot of people is they don't get taught those life skills, and some of us, I was taught them, but I didn't know how to do anything without drugs and alcohol. That's all I knew from a kid. So I got a job at the Breakers in Palm Beach. I worked in room service at first, where you bring the cart to the room. I did that for 9 months, and then I scoped out what I wanted to really do with that hotel, and I became a personal concierge for the high-end guests in the bungalows. And I did that I was there for about 4 years. That was my first recovery job, and it was amazing. They taught me strong work ethic. They taught me how to be on time, how to talk to people politely with manners, with, a certain type of way, how to become professional. So I had some girlfriends that worked in the treatment industry, and I kept saying, I want to do that. I want to do what you do. I want to be a treatment. I want to be a marketing and business development. And it was just so interesting to me. And one of my girlfriends really brought me into this industry and taught me everything that I know. So I was really fortunate to have somebody give me a job when I wanted to come in.
Well, is that anybody I would know? Was that somebody I would know or no?
She doesn't live here anymore. Her name's Stephanie DeAndrea. She's been in the business a long time, and she's a class act, and she really took time on her personal time to teach me so many things, you know. And thank God, because we see where some people that aren't trained and aren't taught, where they, you know, they go towards the bad, you know. So I was really fortunate to have a lot of good mentors, and she was my first one.
Wow, that's great. That's really great. So, where was your first job working in the treatment industry? Because you said you spent 5
I
years.
Yeah, I worked for Kim Coslow. I know you had her on a few weeks
Yeah,
ago. I
yeah.
worked for her she had the butterfly house.
She's
Yep.
fantastic. She's just
I
one of
worked
the really good people. She's just
I
amazing.
worked for her. She gave me my first shot. She knew I didn't have any experience, but she trusted Stephanie, and she knew Stephanie would help me, and she gave me my first shot marketing her beautiful high-end sober home for women. A
Okay.
number of us started there. Megan started there. Tracy started there. We all have a history with
Now I
Butterfly
know why
House.
you're her three favorite girls. She did tell me that. Okay, that makes sense. All right, I get it now.
And then I had Scarlett, so I didn't have that time to work full time anymore. So I started my own business and taught fitness to treatment centers. I had 80 pounds to lose, so I taught fitness and yoga, and and started a little fit business for treatment centers. So I did that for about a year, and then one of the treatment centers I was teaching at, Evolutions, where Blake works, they hired me on full time, and that was my first full time with the treatment center.
Okay, and what were you doing? The like the outreach marketing?
Yeah, doing outreach, business development. I, was learning as I was going with the mentors and the people teaching me. So, it's definitely been a journey, a lot of lessons.
Okay, and along the way, I know your husband. He's just a terrific guy. So you met Frank, right?
I
Your
met
husband.
Frank in 2011. Well, probably 2010. We had a bunch of mutual friends in the rooms in recovery, and I kind of was, how women and men can be sometimes. If you like somebody, you're kind of mean to them, and I definitely was a
Oh,
little
you were mean to
bitchy to
him.
him.
You were mean.
What?
You were mean to
I
Frank.
was, I was. I thought I
Okay.
judged him. I judged him. I thought he was this that I hit.
Oh, hold on. You hit the button. There we go. We're back. Okay, go ahead.
I thought he was the typical New York Italian. I just had this stigma in my head of what he was, and he is like the most family man, kind, gentle human being. And when I got to know him, that was the first thing I did was apologize to him, and then we became, inseparable.
Okay. So when did you get married? When did you guys get married?
In 2016, a little over 2 years ago,
Okay.
February. Yeah, and we bought a home the same month. It was crazy,
Wow.
but blessings,
What a change! Like from just the beginning to like I mean, this is like, now we're getting to the point where I sort of know you as that's the Amanda I know and the Frank I know and I kids and so it's
And
amazing.
when I lived on my own, I lived in the hood. I lived in the ghetto. I mean, gunshots in my neighborhood. I mean, drug dealing right down the street. And I just worked. And I'm so glad that nothing was ever handed to me. And I've worked for everything that I've earned in my life, And Frankie and I have done it together. When we got together, we had to live off food stamps. And, we had beat up cars that had to get jumped to start. So we've really come a long way.
Well, I'm getting beat to hold on a second. Oh,
Technology.
technology. Um, okay. I'm gonna get rid of this person. Hold on. Okay. All right, I got rid of it. Okay. Um, all right. So let's talk about Recovery Ways, which is where you work now, right?
Yep.
So when did you start working at Recovery Ways?
I started there a year ago in May. May 1st was my anniversary, and
Okay.
I love it. It's something I've always wanted to do is represent a program like we are. I went to tour them when I was working for another facility, and I fell in love with my clinical director you met. I loved how he shared so passionately and everything that they were doing. And the whole program when I did the tour, they won me, and I basically asked to work for them. One thing I really liked was that they had, we have, we're able to treat patients that nobody else is, higher mental health, people that have in-network insurance, people that have medical issues. I always would get these people that would come to me, and if they had epilepsy or if they had Another higher mental health disorder, people would, programs wouldn't take them. They didn't want to mess with it, or pregnant, all these different things. And I love that there's a place for all these people that, that everyone else is scared to touch. We're willing.
Where's Recovery Ways based?
Salt Lake City, Utah.
Okay.
A piece of my soul lives there. I love it there.
Yeah, it's a beautiful state. There's no doubt about it. It's very beautiful there.
Gorgeous.
So, and I had a chance to hear Andrew speak, right? What's Andrew's last name?
Sidoli. Andrew Sidoli.
Yeah. So for the folks who are going to see this video later, you did like this, I guess, like a continuing education presentation.
Yes.
And he was extremely impressive. We were very impressed, and I think that we were like, wow, we have to think seriously about whether we, sending people out there, because when he started to talk about not just what you guys do, but how he works so closely with the other therapists and how it's really a team effort, it was really eye-opening, and we were very impressed, and I could see why you would get excited about the place.
Thank you. I am. I'm a heart person. I have to feel it in my heart. I'm passionate. If I don't feel it, I can't represent it. So I do. I feel them with my heart.
Okay, so is it explain the dynamics, because I know some treatment centers are primary addiction and then mental illness. Some are primary mental illness. So, like, what type of clients are you taking there?
Well, everyone has to have a substance use disorder present. Yeah. So, some people may not have used. Maybe their mental health is first, but they have the substance as well. So we have clinicians that review all of our cases. So they won't take anyone that's not appropriate. They'll recommend, another level of care, but we definitely, can take some higher acute cases. And so it could be both. We're licensed mental health as well, ACA license.
Okay. And where do most of your clients come from?
All over the country. I get some from down here that, kind of need a change of scenery or have done the gamut down here. There's great facilities down here, but sometimes this has become people's place of trouble that they need to get away from. And I also work with a number of employers. So I get a lot from some of the, the laborers, different EAPs.
Okay. And give us an idea of the size of Recovery Ways. How many people typically are?
We have 2 side-by-side residential facilities, and we divide them by age. So 18 to 30 are together, and 30 and up are together. So it's 35 beds on each side, and
Okay.
We're growing. We're currently growing. So.
Okay. So how often do you get out to Utah?
I go about every month and a half or so.
Okay. All right. Nice place to go.
I love it. I love it when it's winter. I'm a Florida girl. For me, it's very different there.
And what's it like during the summer? Because I think the West Coast is a little cooler, no?
It's beautiful. I did a hike there last month, and it was cooler in the shade in the evening, but it was nice and hot in the daytime, and dry.
Oh, I love it. I miss that West Coast weather. So let's talk about women empowering women, because that's, I know, a real passion for you. And tell us what that is. What does that organization do?
So Women Empowering Women is a 501c3 nonprofit that I started with a group of women. I lost my best friend, Kim Kinkle, who I was best friends with since 8th grade, who all of those firsts she did with me, getting in trouble, sneaking out the window, trying all of our first bad drugs, and just all the stuff we did hand in hand. Her parents, I was like their other child. With my mom, she was the other child. So when I got into recovery, Kim and I have been friends since the 8th grade, or even maybe younger. But when I got into recovery, Kim went a little further into progression, because I stopped using before the pain pill clinics closed, like before the pill mill days ended and before heroin got so crazy. And Kim kept going, and Kim got into heroin. And, because the pills got too expensive, that's when everybody turned to heroin. That's where we are today, And I would help her on and off, help her family, get her into programs, and be there for her. And when she was clean for those few months, we've had our same bond and friendship again. And there was a time when a shift changed in her, and I started to think, I'm going to get that phone call. Like, I'm going to get that phone call with her. And I would pray that that she would be pleased, blessed with this gift that I've been blessed with, and always supporting her family. And Kim, in December of 2015, Kim overdosed. And it was like, really, for me, it was extremely painful. It was, like a piece of me, and we see, and being in recovery, we see a lot of people that pass away and overdose, but there's like those ones that, like with Kim, it was like one in a million. I felt like I said, a piece of me passed on. So when she was on the machines, before they pulled the machines, because she was on life support, she was here in Jupiter, and I went running, and I just had this idea. I said, I have to do something to help other women in Kim's name. I need to have her. I'm getting choked up. I need to have her name live on, and I always loved uniting women in the industry, like getting women together and supporting one another. Some women were really kind to me when I came in, and some weren't. But I wanted to create like a group where we could support and encourage and mentor and help one another. So we started to get together, started with like a few women, and with the purpose of raising money to send women to college in Kim's name. So we started the Kim Kinkle Scholarship at Palm Beach State College. And we sent a woman, Melissa Torres, last year, a single mom, with 4 kids and a few years in recovery. Who's amazing. We sent her to Palm Beach State. We have events locally, we have them like every other month. And we have our big one every year where we invite the men, but usually it's just women. And we just turned into a 501c3 in March, and are now like developing our strategic plan, our board of directors, and it's really turning into more of a real business. So we're going to be able to really help a lot of women, and also a mentoring program where women that apply for the scholarship, whether they get it or not, they can have a mentor who's a woman in recovery that that has gone to school while in recovery and obtained a degree.
Yeah,
So
so I know you've got a website. What's the web address? The
it's
website.
womenempoweringwomenpb.com, like Palm Beach.
Okay, womenempoweringwomenpb.com. And I went online and I took a look at the website. It's a really nice site, and there's photos of you and some of the other ladies that are involved in it. But there's a really, really touching video. Uh, I mean, I mean, when you see her, you're like, how is this person? How did this? You say, oh, yeah, there's a certain image we have in our minds of what an addict looks like. But when you see that video, you're like, she doesn't look like an addict. Looks very
No,
healthy. She's in her like
most
workout
beautiful
clothes.
girl.
A very beautiful
Beautiful,
girl.
beautiful, talented, smart. Just had no idea like what she had, and anytime Kim would get, another really important thing is, anytime Kim would get any recovery time together, she had felonies from, wreckage of her past. And when she would get into recovery, she'd had a really hard time finding jobs. And I think if Kim could have taken that really like, menial job, but knowing that she could go back to college and make something of herself was like a bigger picture, I think that could have empowered her to stay clean. I think it could help women. For me, I obtained my degree
Right. I
in,
remember you telling me that when I met you at Moments to Change. That was the first time you and I really had a chance to chat. And I think you told me, right? You went back to school, got your
went
degree.
back to school and graduated with a bachelor's of science in alternative medicine. Any goal I've set out to do while in recovery, I've exceeded, and now I have a whole new set of goals. I wanted to run a half marathon. I was 200 pounds when I came into recovery. My sister, she, to this day, we laugh about it. When I told her I was going to run a half marathon when I was 200 pounds, she cracked up so hard at me. And then when I did it, she was the first one I snapped a picture to, so I've went to school. I've, bought a home. I've gotten married. I've raised my children. We've established this beautiful nonprofit. I mean, really all my dreams have come true, and then some. And I'm just excited to see what's next,
So let's go back a little bit and talk about more about women empowering women, because I know that I went to one. Actually, I went to the event that you had with was Melissa Torres, right?
Yes.
And I mean, there must have been at least 200 people in the room, men and
Yeah.
women, and it was packed, right? And it was in a big room too. So up at Origin. So um, talk to us a little bit about Kim, because as I said, when you look at the video, it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that she was an addict. And one of the things I sort of gather, because from just spending a lot of time with mums and dads whose kids have these issues, is there's some folks that can sort of overcome the demons and some that can't. And the ones that can't are the ones that, ultimately seem to succumb to the disease. So,
Right.
I mean, are you able to share with us, give us some insight as to what was going on with her?
I don't know. I do know. I mean, I don't know why. Like, I've pondered the why did I get it and why did she not get it? Why was I given this gift and why was she not? I really, I don't know. You know, she has a loving family. I still go visit her family. You know, her dad's involved with women empowering women. He comes to the events. I truly don't know what it was for me versus her, you know. I do know that after a few overdoses, I feel like she changed. I feel like her brain changed. And I've seen that with other people I've been close to. I think after you overdose a few times, I think that something shifts in your brain. It has to. You go without oxygen for a number of minutes, you know. So I don't know, Mark, you know. I wish I could go back in time and give her a piece of what I had and give her the gift of recovery and have her here with me, you know?
Yeah, I think when I first started to do this, so I'll share a little bit about what because I would have worked, for 21 plus years in the criminal justice system. So that was sort of my experience. And I got involved. I opened up my own law firm and decided to focus on this because, oh, did I lose you? There you are. Because I realized I was surrounded by people in recovery, and that was before I started doing this stuff. Now all my friends are in recovery, but it's great, right? I'm surrounded by all these loving, amazing people, and I always joke when you go to an event in the treatment industry, you just get hugs and kisses, and it's really amazing. It's a
Right.
room full of love, right? It's amazing.
Yeah.
So now I lost my train. See, you got me so thinking about Kim. Almost got myself a little distracted here. See, got me. You got me.
Yeah, especially when you see that video, it definitely grabs your heart. Her high school boyfriend made that after she passed away, and
It's
where he had
beautiful.
all that footage, I have no idea.
It's a beautiful video. And so when I went to that event with Melissa, trying to get myself back on track here. You see, you got me sidetracked, man. You got me emotionally involved here. Um,
Walk and get
I
my
met,
charger.
had a chance to meet her dad, and just seemed like a really great guy. Seems like she came from a great family.
She did.
Great family.
She did. They were awesome. I mean, I still, like I said, I still visit them and see them. I go over to Fort Myers and spend time with the family. I'm like a child, one of their children.
So let's talk about so if somebody wants to help, if they want to give money to women empowering women, tell me what you specifically your focus is in terms of how you're going to use the money.
Well, currently, 100% of the proceeds go to the scholarship fund. You know, we don't unless we have something that's an expense for our organization. As far as, I mean, when we host a luncheon, it is sponsored. You know, Origins donates the space. They donate that space to us each and every time. We have a sponsor or two sponsors that provide the lunch, and then we have a speaker. So that there's zero cost to that. So everything that we collect there to $25, what we're doing right now per person, that all goes into our fund. So really, the only things that we've spent money on, we're paying the attorney to become 501c3, to try to develop a strategic plan, and just basic expenses. So we really 100% of the money goes to that.
Okay, so if somebody wants to donate money, they can go to the website.
You can do it on the website. Yep. And we this year our goal is to give 2 scholarships to women in fall. And we're also trying to expand. You know, we're right now we're with Palm Beach State, but we've talked to FAU. We would also like to offer maybe trades. We've also, talked about that some. You know, maybe some people don't want to do the 4-year college, or maybe they just want to, they want to go get a trade, which is amazing too. So we would love to support women in whatever they want to do that will empower them with their future.
Right. How do you decide who you're going to help? I mean, what's the selection process? So
That's a tough thing because we all knew.
I mean, what about if somebody knows somebody they want to say to say, Amanda, I've got the perfect person for you.
Oh yeah, well we all knew people that applied for it. You know, I had a number of friends of mine that applied. So originally we had Palm Beach State do it. So we had them go through, so Palm Beach State put it on their application. You know, added, are you a woman and are you in recovery? So if they clicked female and they clicked that they were in recovery from addiction, they were filtered down our scholarship, and they had to write a small essay, and the college picked. So they picked Melissa. But for moving forward, one of the board members, Cynthia, her son, is probably going to configure something that will break down criteria and leave us with just a few, and we'll pick from that.
Okay. How's Melissa doing, by the way?
She's doing amazing. She actually got a full scholarship through the VA to go to FAU. So after our scholarship, she got another one through the veterans. So everything, she got her kids back in her life 2 weeks after getting the scholarship, after years of having them part-time. I have goosebumps thinking of that. She was featured on the news with us, and she's our first mentee. Allison Bishop, who is our mentorship director, she was in touch with Allison all the time.
Okay.
So I mean, with Melissa all the time, and I check on her sometimes, but she's doing amazing.
So I know once a year you do the men's event. When's the next ladies event?
Our next event is August 8th at 11:30 at Origins, Hanley Center.
Okay.
And we have Kate Caravella from ICM Associates, who's the first female interventionist in the country, and she is amazing. She has a team that work with her, clinicians, interventionists, and psychiatrists. You should probably connect with her. She's awesome. And then the sponsors of that are Alina Lodge and Via Tranquil. So,
okay. So,
yeah.
So can I know it's the ladies only event, but can anybody come? So
any lady. Yeah, we're expanding to we want to become more of a community thing, not just a treatment thing. So we've really expanded out and started to invite many, people outside of our business, because it is about our community. We live in South Florida, which is a huge recovery community, and we get women together. Last time we had a vendor, so sold some items there. And so we're just, we have come together, have a good time, learn something, have a great, powerful, speaker. And then we donate to good causes. And then we also pick a cause for us to donate to each time.
Right.
So
I'm going to tell Audra, she's sitting in the room with me. I'm going to tell her she's going to go to this event.
Awesome. Tell her to bring any unused makeup bags. That's what we're collecting for Cosmetics for a Cause next time.
All right. She's making a note.
We did Susan B. Anthony the time before. We've had a diaper drive for them. So yeah, we love to give back. It feels good.
It does feel good. It does feel good. So let's talk a little bit about, what are the upcoming events? I know you and I have one we're working on, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, because I'm sort of super excited about that. Even if it's going to probably result in me having another black eye, but okay, whatever.
For me.
Most injured at the women's seminars. And I can see you put a nasty right leg. I'm getting. So what's upcoming for the Women Empowering Women?
Well, we have August 8th is our next, our next bi-monthly event. Hold on, sorry, it keeps cooking off. Okay. And then we have October 10th. It's the second Wednesday of October is our large event. So we're currently looking for sponsors to help us get to our goal this year, which is to be able to send 2 women to school this year. And that's where men and women, and we should get a number of sponsors, get the news involved, try to make it a big deal.
So what are the sponsorship levels?
We have a few different levels. We have I forget, we called it the Gold Slayer. We named them cute, not like a gold, not gold, silver, and bronze. We named it like Gold Slayer and Warrior Sponsor, and so we have different tiers. We have you could be the top tier. Oh my goodness, why is it doing this? Sorry, my computer's doing it. So yeah, you can be. It could be something as low as $250 up to $5,000 for sponsorship.
Right, so we're going to talk about that, because we're going to work here and sponsor something for you. Okay, drug and alcohol. Awesome. Okay, I like that. And okay, so I know you guys are really you've sort of gone from this little sort of grassroots movement to some really serious. You've got 501c3, and you got this whole organization going on. So are you able to share with us like what are the big things that are coming up?
Big things are coming up are establishing our board of directors. I mean, we have our key original founders, which are Cynthia, Mo, Lisa, Heather Ann, and myself. What we're looking for, we have a list of different jobs that we're looking for. So we're trying to find, that board of directors that fits that criteria, that are going to help us get to the next level. Like we need a grant writer, we need an attorney, we need a CPA, we need, or that have these specific skills, to be involved as much as little as they would like. So, so
I'm
we
looking
are.
at an order. When you said the word attorney, I'm looking at her.
Oh, we need an attorney, Audra.
I'm nominating
So,
her personally.
so we're currently trying to establish that right now. That's our first book of business, you know, and then also work on our event for October. That's what we're doing now, because that takes a lot of, you know, energy. It's not like our monthly one is just it's effortless at this point.
All right. So I know that we're working on an event. So I'm gonna can I talk a little bit about that because I'm kind of
Yeah,
excited.
of course, it's gonna happen. So let's talk about it.
So I mean, you know, people who look at my Facebook page, they know I'm, you know, two things I'm passionate about. My law firm helping people, and you know, the Krav Maga, which is Israeli martial arts stuff that I teach and have been involved in for years. And I think I shared with you that a number of years ago, oh God, it must have been at least 10 years ago, we did a big event. I think we had somewhere between 100 and 200 women, in a big room down at the Jewish Community Center here in Boca, and we did a big event. We had, well, then State Senator Ted Deutsch, now U.S. Congressman, which came down and spoke, and we, you know, we raised a bunch of money. And we did a great thing. And so when I came to the men's event last year, I'm like, this is a no-brainer. We got to do a big women's self-defense course. We're going to put at least 100 women in the room, and we're going to raise a ton of money, and we're going to send somebody back to college. And so I'm excited to do that. And
Yeah, I love it. We're gonna have fun.
we're going to make a real difference. And so it's, you know, the more I get involved with the treatment industry, the more I get excited about helping people. And I know sort of the side effect of that is that, you know, it helps us to help more people, and that's really what it's all about. And for a long time, I was sort of lost as well, and so it gives me purpose. And I get frustrated. You know, I was telling somebody the other day, there's only one thing I hate more than a weekend. It's a long weekend, because that means there's 3 days where I'm probably not going to be able to help anybody. I mean,
Aw.
office are closed. You know, actually, look, I was in here in the office for 5 hours yesterday with a mom who's having terrible issues with her son. But that's what we do. But
Right.
but I'm excited to do some stuff with you. And
Yeah, well, I think that, I mean, that's really empowering for women to know how to defend themselves, you know, like it's a scary world we live in. As beautiful as it can be at times, it's also very scary, and we need to know how to protect ourselves, you know, just at least definitely basic skills.
so we're definitely going to make that happen. So, and we're almost out of time. So
Give Mark another black eye.
yeah, yeah. If anyone doesn't know, yeah, I got a bit of a shiner, but you know, I got a couple of, what was it? Oh, about 5 or 6 years ago, we did a women's seminar down here, and I was holding up this pad, and I said to this girl, I said, I really want you to hit this thing. I want you to really step into it. So as I put the pad down, she stepped into it, but the pad wasn't there, but my face was, and wham,
Oh,
right in the kisser. I
oh
mean,
wow.
I knew the minute she hit me, I said, that's going to be a bruiser in the morning. And this next day, I had a big black eye. So,
Oh, geez.
okay, that's the price I got to pay. That's the price I got to pay. So
You're
listen.
tough.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I don't know if I'm as tough as you, though. You're tough. You're tough. So tell me, yes, he is tough. Ask her husband; he'll tell you she's tough. Um, so if people see this and they want to get a hold of you, they want to talk to you about maybe going to Recovery Ways or getting involved with the Women Empowering Women organization. Tell us how they can get a hold of you. You have a phone number, an email, a website.
Yeah, you can call me 561-735-2590 or email me at amanda@womenempoweringwomenpb.com.
Okay, and Recovery Ways, they have a website, or should they go through you first of all?
Yes, go through me, of course, if they want to look at it. You know, call me. That's my cell phone number, 561-735-2590, and it's www.recoveryways.com with the S at the end.
Okay, and for anybody who wants to get a hold of me, or they want either because they want to talk to us about, you know, because their kid's been arrested, they want to do a March for an Act or a guardianship, or they want to get a hold of Amanda, they can. Let me give my information out, so they can always reach us by phone, which is 561-419-6095. Or they can find us on the web at drugandalcoholattorneys.com, or they can email me. See, Amanda already knows all this stuff. She's got me on speed now. Mark, M-A-R-K, see, I'm blushing now. Mark, you had me crying, now you got me blushing.
Oh, jeez.
Mark with a K at drugandalcoholattorneys.com. Oh, look at that. Okay, hold it back a little further so we can see it. Okay, there we go.
Can you see it?
Yeah, now we can. Okay, there we go. Look at that. It's a nice card, too. All right,
I did just get a promotion this week. I got promoted to.
That's right.
I got a promotion.
Okay,
Yeah,
so tell me about that because I know you
uh,
sent me that in text. Let's hear about it.
yeah, director of strategic accounts. Because I've been doing well with a lot of the employers who I love so much. I love the unions. They're such good people. You know, they're so fortunate too to have that union behind them too. You know, in this time especially. But I work a lot with that population, so they're empowering me to take it a step further.
I
So
love it. I'm
yeah,
sure it's well deserved. I know
thank
that you
you.
work really, really hard. So, all right, hold on a second. I'm gonna
Sure,
recording and then we'll be done. So hold on a second, man. Okay.
thank you.
Welcome. All right. So